Good morning, everyone. Reverend Father, Dean of the Academics, Janardhan Menon, Dr. Uma, the future of our nation, the faculty members, the teachers. Loyala is an establishment which is not new to me because I've been here on a number of occasions, and I also spent a number of days in this college with a few friends of mine, despite not being a student of this college. But what has been new is this structure and this entity. It's not totally new, the entity LIBA, because you can't stop Janardhan Menon from talking about LIBA. First thing he meets me later on in the evening, he says, "Hello Raman, how are you?" Then, you know what happened today at LIBA? We are the first to do this. Nobody in the world has done it. So I've heard enough about LIBA from Janardhan Menon. And fun apart, what is being instilled into you here, which is excel ethically, is magnificent. I think we are living in an era where ethics has become something like petrol. We'll be finding it funny. Where's the comparison? Because ethics is generally evaporating like petrol does in this society. And when you want ethics, you got to pay a price for it these days. So that's the reason it's a magnificent initiative or magnificent thought process of instilling the importance of ethics in you lot. Now the thing is, I always had great admiration for two spheres of life. One is medicine, the other one is education. Now, Mr. Balaji Singh, I didn't mention you then at the start of my speech because I had to say this about you. He's only reaffirmed the fact of why the medical field is considered very, very sacrosanct and why the doctors are considered as divine creatures. The manner in which he goes about his profession and the manner in which he elucidated how medical field needs to tighten up his ethics is a reflection of the man, of the professional, and the great human being that he is, apart from being a great surgeon himself. Well done, sir. Keep going. We need a lot more of you, I assure you on that score. Education, of course, what will anybody be in life without the teachers, without the professors, and without the institutions that give you a platform, that give you an avenue to garner knowledge and use it to your advantage in life. All of you are lucky. You're all obviously intelligent as well, which I was not. So I didn't really study much because I hardly attended school, hardly attended colleges. I got a great unique record of having attended 8 hours in 3 years of college. And that's the kind of tolerance level they had those days. I don't think you can do that because your courses are more intense. It requires your presence to match your intelligence. So, sport it was, where I spent most of my time. And the biggest favor life bestowed on me was to nudge me into sports. The reason why I say that is because medicine and education was all about ethics. It is all about doing the right things in the right manner. And sport is another field where you have to necessarily be ethical, whether you like it or not. Because you're out in the open, like for example, if you go play a match at any level, you'll at least have spectators ranging from 100 to 100,000. So if you don't do the right things, you have a bad outing. You're obviously subjected to a lot of criticism. You got to cop all that. Yet you have to keep your cool and carry on, keep going on about it. And having spent enough time in sport, having spent enough time in the corporate world, rightfully this great institution is instilling the importance of ethics. I thought to myself that leadership is something which has become of a deficit these days because the younger lot are content to be led they are more happier without being responsible or embracing responsibility. Yes, student life is like that, but it's important for you to realize that once you finish your course, then you start swimming in oceans infested with sharks in the corporate world. You'll know that you can't be without having that propensity to take up responsibility, or having the steel in you, the spine in you to stand up for yourself and get what you want. It's very important. Yet it can be done ethically. See, there are many qualities in terms of leadership. There are a lot of things that are required. And one of the things that you need to really be focusing upon is decision making. Why I say this? Because decision making has a lot to do with you being ethical as well. Every set of parents only tell you to be ethical, they tell you to be honest. No set of parents teaches you to be, absolutely a rowdy or a ruffian. So beyond a point, you choose what you want to be in life, right? So that's why you need to be very, very good in decision making. And when you go out into the corporate world after your management degrees, you will obviously get there. You'll have to get to the executive team where you have to be a part of decision making. Now, how do you do that? You can't be content just saying, oh, all of you take the decisions, I'm happy, I'll okay. No, you can't. You'll also have to realize when you become a leader that you need to have people cleverer than you with you. There's no point in saying, I'll just thrust myself on everybody else because I'm the leader, because that is also not being ethical. You got to be fair to everybody. You got to give credit to the others in your team. You got to be engaging them. You got to give their opportunities as well. Is it possible to be ethical and succeed in the corporate world? I think that's the question that'll be going through your minds now after listening to various stories that you might have heard by now. Yes, definitely it is. But the important thing is that you got to be consistently ethical once you take a stance. If you show any kind of deviation at any stage, then it gets a bit murky. You got to be ruthlessly consistent. For example, you all obviously must be fans of Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He has been ruthlessly consistent, in what? Not on the field, playing, whatever. He refuses interviews for anybody on a one-on-one basis. He says interviews are always given during the official press conferences. That is where I'll talk, if at all I talk. And there'll be a lot of people wanting a one-on-one interview with him, but he's stayed consistent almost for 20 years. And that is a kind of consistency that you need to try and muster. Ethically, it's possible. What happens is that sometimes in the corporate world, you are put under pressure by certain circumstances, which is absolutely out of control for you. I'll give an instance. I was with MRF. We had signed up Sachin Tendulkar to endorse the MRF brand of sport equipment. I was looking after the international market. I go all the way to UK. I've been babysitting one company for becoming our distributor there, which in effect was very simple. Let's say MRF was Pepsi. I was talking to a guy from Coke, the managing director of Coke, for him to sell Pepsi in UK. It's a very tricky, complicated stuff. And I went there, and then he was going to sign on an order which is worth something like 100,000 pounds. So I went there, suddenly he sticks in one thing, the Britishers, I tell you. So he says, you people are just labeling the bats. Why can't you change the labels and change the price for me? In fact, what he was trying to do was, he was trying to test if I was going to be a bit bent in character. So I said, no, I'm not doing such thing. Then he says, he was right, he was a very sharp guy. So he says, Imagine yourself going back, all the way from India, going back, tossing a possible order of 100,000 pounds. I'm talking what? Early 2000 stuff. That was a lot of money then. It is even now. So he says, what happens to you when you go back in your company? I said, I'll handle that. I'll handle the consequences, but I'm off. So he says, okay, go back, have a cup of coffee down the road, come back to me, I'll have a thought about what you said. We'll then take it from there. So then I went, not after half an hour, I went back after 2 hours, because you got to sometimes handle the British in a different way. So I went back there after 2 hours, and then he says, I've given an envelope, don't open it here. When you go back wherever that is you're staying, open it there. I said, okay, fine. So you got to keep your cool sometimes when things are, tense. So I went back, then I opened the thing. He says, I was only planning to give an order of 100,000 pounds. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give a minimum guarantee of double for the next 3 years. Because my question was simply to see how bent you can get or how ethical you are. So you can always succeed in being ethical without falling for these kind of temporary victories. And this is where a life is defined. Like Warren Buffett, you all know who Warren Buffett is. He said, all that you earn, all that you do, all that you build up can be just tossed away in 2 seconds by doing something stupid. So remember one thing, it's very simple. It's a case of you being consistent, relentlessly consistent over a period of time. Building anything is going to take a lot of time. But bringing it down doesn't take any time. It's as simple as that. So that's the way you'll have to look at it. And the important thing is that once you develop a reputation of just being absolutely ethical, nobody will bother you. When I was the coach of the state team here some time ago, there was a situation where somebody called me and he said, why don't you pick this guy? So I said I was not going to do it unless we are convinced that he can fit into the side. And apparently he belonged to some political party. So that was the end of it. A couple of weeks later, I get a call from one of the unknown numbers. And then he introduces himself as a member of that party. So he says, are you getting calls from our people trying to influence you? I said, no, I don't think. So he said, no, we know you got a call about 15 days ago. From now on, let us know if anybody tries to put any pressure on you, because we know you don't do such things. The moral of the story here is not about me. The moral of the story here is that you don't know who all are keeping a tab on you and what kind of a person that you are, because when somebody is looking to deal with you or likely to deal with you, or you are involved in their lives even in a peripheral manner, they tend to do a lot of background checks on you. You're watched. You don't know who's watching you. So don't think nobody is watching me, I can do whatever I want and get away with it. I'm not indulging in pontification, but I'm telling you an absolute fact of life. And the thing is that if you want to be a good ethical leader, you have to be the best team player. If you can't be a team player, you cannot be a leader. It's as simple as that. And a lot of people get into that funny mindset when they get some position or when they garner some kind of authority that their word is the be-all and end-all. Don't fall into that trap. It's not going to really help you in any which way. And as far as the other aspect of leadership is concerned, when you have to convey about ethics, when you have to convey things which are not likely to be in favor of the person you're communicating it to, you got to be very honest about it. There was a situation in one team that it had a good batting lineup, one guy would play, would get an opportunity, he'll get 100. Now I'll bench him another 2 games because the entire team is back. Indian players are coming back. They got to be fitted into the state side. So it so happened he did it on 2 occasions in a season. Then I had to call him and tell him, I'm extremely sorry. This has got nothing to do with you or me. It's just a case of sheer circumstances. None of us can do anything about it. If you think I'm being absolutely tough on you, I can't help it. At best, I can only apologize for the circumstances, not for my decisions, because my decisions will stay under similar set of circumstances even in the future. So then he says, what happens now for me? I said, that's a good question. You should have asked that before. So I said, next year you will be given one particular slot. You will play all the games, regardless of who's there, who's not there. So he says, if you can't do it this year, how will you do it next year? I said, that's my problem. I have a problem here. I'm doing it in a different way. I will clear the deck for you for next year so that you have an uninterrupted string of chances. He said, okay. And I kept up my word, and he ended up as the highest run getter that year. So certain times things are tough. Best thing is to take the stance that the other person is going to be angry for some time, but then he'll also realize, he or she will realize that it's better that things are done this way because you're doing it consistently with everybody. That's another important factor. You'll have to be consistent with everybody. So as long as you remain consistent, as long as you practice being ethical in just about every situation possible, I think you should be fine. And yes, you will be subjected to some hardships if you're going to be consistently ethical. I'll give you that warning also. But remember one thing, as it's attributed to Confucius, the glory is not in falling, but it is in rising every time you fall. That's what life is all about. And I think I've spoken long enough. And if I was sitting there, I'd already started yawning. And you people are good enough, you've not started doing that. So that means I won't overstay my welcome. Thanks a lot, Liva, the authorities, for having me here and giving me this opportunity. I wish all the future stars of the country and maybe international stars as well, because you'll probably go off for greener pastures, I'm sure, sometime down the line. All of you the very best, and also the administration and the institution the very best. Thank you.